Hey everybody, it's John Wolpert here with the Baseline Show, Baseline Protocol, weekly office hours. We do them every week, noon US Eastern, and also on Saturdays at 8:30 in the morning US Eastern, 6 a.m. Or 6 p.m. on Indian time. It's great to see everybody here. This is a real casual show today. We're just going to, we've been at conferences, we've been doing work, lots of stuff going on. I've got a new presentation that I think I might share. We got Alex Lewin here is going to be asking questions. And if anybody would like to get on into the live studio audience to ask questions live, put that in chat and we'll get you in. Also anybody that's in the Baseline community on our Slack channel, just ping and we'll get you in here if you need to be. We got Mark Howe, we got Sonal Patel, our esteemed runner of all things Baseline, and we have Charles Todd. Good to see you, Charles. I like that picture. You look very dapper.
Thanks, John. Unfortunately, I've got an error between the keyboard and the chair here with getting my camera to work.
No worries. I think somebody's got their
Unfortunately, I've got an error between.
Yeah. I always do that when I've got when I put the YouTube up. It's weird, right? You realize that you're not in real time in the speed of light and all that. Anyway, it's good to see you guys. Alex, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hey everybody, my name's Alex. I work at a company called NCR. We make software and technology for restaurants, banks, and retailers, and I work in their innovation lab and specialize in both blockchain projects. Really interested in the Baseline community. And I met all the good folks in the Baseline community at ETH Atlanta, and I'm incredibly excited to get more involved.
It's good to see you, Alex. Charles, you're welcome to say a few things as well. I think the rest of us folks know.
Great. Hey, hopefully the audio is working all right, John. I'm the founder of Vocal. We're a startup focused exclusively on accelerating traction in Web3 technologies. We're big believers in the future of zero knowledge proofs, confidential computing, and this laying the solid foundation to accelerate collaboration moving forward. Very excited to be here and love what you guys are doing in the Baseline community.
Right on. I'm just inviting somebody here who wanted to get in. Yeah, so I'm just hearing that Chico Crypto said something about Baseline and a federal agency that's put out an RFI. I don't know where maybe he found the RFI on the web. I haven't seen it. I haven't actually got the link to that RFI, but maybe he knows more than I do. But yeah, interesting. So that's that is there. You know, there are more and more projects that are coming out that are requiring Baseline competencies, which is pretty great. I just didn't know that was public. So very good. Alex, you said you had some questions about Baseline you'd like to bring up.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm incredibly new to the community, and I'm starting to sift through some of the documentation I've gotten my hands on. And I think personally, I'm starting to have a somewhat clear vision on the direction of Baseline and where and why it's important. However, I'm still struggling to articulate exactly the value add to my superiors and to other stakeholders that are perhaps uninitiated in the blockchain space. I'm wondering if Baseline has a somewhat succinct elevator pitch or just any documentation or what's the message that we're selling as a community?
Right. Well, it's a great question. In fact, it kind of teased me up for I was going to bring this up anyway. I'll share it right now. In fact, there's a window. There it is. And yeah, so I'll make that big. So this is the pitch that we discussed or that we presented to the ATO, the All Things Open conference yesterday, and hopefully it'll kind of give you an idea the way we're putting it together. And that is, baselining is a new standard for universal verified state synchronization or multi-party coordination under zero knowledge. That is, we need to work together, but we don't want to go full Monty on our data with each other. So we need multi-party coordination under zero knowledge technology. So that's the way we've been describing it. And I think that's a very good way. You throw the word blockchain in there. Even though, blockchain's in there, it needs to be, just like you need blockchains for, it's very useful to have blockchains in things like modern digital identity to make sure that those proofs aren't getting changed. The story isn't so much blockchain as it is, universal verified state synchronization, multi-party workflows. So nobody has any argument against that. It's like, we definitely need that. It doesn't require any suspension of disbelief. Yesterday used to be all about business process management for single entities. Hey, we just bought a company. They were using some other system. We've got to integrate it. Today, it's all about multi-party workflows. Businesses today depend on a global network of large and small counterparties, right? This is the world we live in. Well, it's kind of a problem because what happens when your order management system says that you're supposed to deliver something 2 weeks from today, and the retailer you work with, some giant company, says, hey, it's today, and if you don't think it's today, that's fine, but you better get it here tomorrow, or you don't have to work with us anymore. Well, that's millions of dollars in make good and expediting to deal with that big problem. That's the cost of not having assured consistency between systems of record. How are we doing so far?
Fantastic. You're hitting it on the head.
Okay. I'll just keep going then. So there's another problem here. I like to call it the coordination conundrum. We need to share, but we often shouldn't share. Everyone needs the inventory data to find the contaminated food. But companies are, even with the projects that are out there that say they're in production, that say that they do this, well, it's not really about blockchain. That they use the word blockchain to get a lot of people that otherwise would have said, wait a minute, I don't want to put my data in your big database. Well, they kind of got them to do it for a while, but now people are coming back around and realizing, I don't want my internal company data on a big giant threat surface. Thank you. So there's a problem. Regulators need access to trade data to ensure compliance. Spot checks are expensive. They're intrusive. They're suboptimal. And there's a strong urge for even companies that want to be compliant to hide or minimize or otherwise, loosely speaking, game the system. We need a way to prove data consistency, correctness, and compliance without revealing the actual data coordination under zero knowledge. The traditional solution for this, or at least, it didn't used to be the traditional solution back in the 90s when I was coming up, but I guess we could call it traditional today, is, web portals, right? Hey, I'm the big giant company you have to do business with. You're going to key in all your invoicing data or what have you into my SaaS portal, right? Problem with that is the minute you do that, once again, you don't have any assurance that what's in that portal is what's in your system of record. You could have changed something in your company's system and forgot to go and update it at the portal, right? So centrally controlled portals and marketplaces are opaque, and the flow of information is asymmetrical, and it's easy to get into a state of divergence pretty quickly. So that company that set up that portal, say Ariba, or say you're using Ariba or some other portal system, spend a lot of money on that, and all it really can tell you is what you think you know. You can argue, well, my supplier put their information into my portal. That doesn't fix the problem that they're still delivering 2 weeks late because somewhere along the way they got out of sync. How are we doing?
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah. Any questions so far?
I don't think so.
All right. So yeah, what we're really talking about is proving the attributes of information without revealing the actual information. That's what zero knowledge is all about. So you can track total volume across networks, even even through other authorized subcontractors. So you can go, you can have deep proofs, right? You can have ZK rollups and other things. You can have aggregated spend. You can track total spending across the network without disclosing the volume totals to subcontractors. You can guarantee correct pricing at any given volume without disclosing discount tables to partners. And you can prove the origin contract obligations, regulatory compliance across many layers of suppliers. So you can do all of that without giving up the data. Hey, I can prove that my radishes did not were not in touch or in contact with the contaminated radishes without giving up all of my supply data about where those radishes have gone and what the what the transit of those of my produce was, right? So that's you can do that. You can do zero knowledge proof there. So that's kind of where that goes. So what's the baseline protocol? It's a set of tools and libraries that help enterprises coordinate complex multi-party business processes, asset transfers, payments, and privacy without putting any sensitive enterprise information on any shared database or any kind of blockchain. Zero-knowledge circuits are employed to provide a common frame of reference that enables all parties in a network business process to maintain their own systems of record, SAP, Microsoft Dynamics, etc., NetSuite, in a verified state of consistency. And then, use the public blockchain is advised, but not required. But it has a very nice attribute. You don't have to set up yet another integration bus, and you don't have to worry as much about people tampering with those proofs. That's really all it is about. I'll hop over this. I think most of our viewers know that we've been around for about 18 months, founded by EY and Microsoft and Consensus, but now there's a bunch of other companies and a growing list, lots of community participants, and we just ratified the first stage in the standard, the baseline standard. We address enterprise requirements, where you need private business logic, business identity and discovery. Using a series of established techniques, you're allowed to provide ZK. We use ZK circuits and verifier contracts and some other things to make sure that that you're able to do this this process, this multi-party workflow, under zero knowledge with complete security, and without giving up your data or your business relationships or the pattern of your relationships to anybody else. And places to use it, well, if a business process automation between multiple partners is the primary requirement, and some partners don't have access to or even awareness of every step in the workflow if they shouldn't, then baselining is a good idea because it's very compartmentalized. Are over 20% of the partners subject matter experts or do not subject matter experts? We got to fix that. But do they do low volume? SMEs actually is, but not our designer put subject matter experts. That should be small to medium enterprises, SMEs, or do they do low volumes? And is the risk of disputes and counterparty repudiation of records a material issue? Right. In other words, is it important that you can say that everybody is in a state of consistency and that nobody can say they didn't get the memo? And is the reduction up front of capital expense an attractive benefit? Otherwise, if big companies can spend a bunch of money to set up an integration bus between you and them and their partner, then you don't really need, and there's ways to do that. We've always had those. Baselining is more for when you need a plurality of organizations that may not all have the ability to put up that capital expense or share it, or where you want more nimbleness. You just want it to get up fast. You don't want to have to, work out a whole JV just to set up an integration system. And is the chance of encountering other workflows that will require new integrations later high? So one of the nice things about baselining is that you can have a workflow and then connect it to other workflows very quickly and relatively easily, as long as they have, as long as they can kind of understand each other, that the data going through work step A in my system is, understandable to work step D in your system. Anyway, so those are the main things that you want to use Baseline for, and there really is work now coming out. There's a RFI from the federal government. There's ServiceNow is out. Coke One North America, platforms like E&Y's Ops Chain platform, SAP, Microsoft Dynamics. The Excel project is coming out soon, and there's seven-figure solutions that are appearing right now. So the Baseline community is attracting RFPs and RFIs, and community contributors and sponsors are preferred. So in other words, if I hear about a deal and you're a sponsor, you might hear about it. And if you're not a sponsor, maybe you won't. And then finally, the appropriate use of blockchain is never put sensitive data or business logic on any kind of blockchain. Instead, use it to ensure that cryptographic proofs, fancy hashes of consistency and correctness in multi-party workflows are always available and have not been altered by any party. For this specific purpose, a public blockchain or a layer 2 network anchored to a large public blockchain maximizes tamper resistance while keeping data, business logic, and relationships on traditional systems. So the key takeaways, there's a ton of opportunities right now to offer ZK coordination solutions. Public blockchain is recommended but not required always on tamper-resistant state machine to store ZK proofs. There's massive savings and new revenue to be achieved through validated multi-platform synchronization. And the Baseline protocol enables enterprises to coordinate multi-party business processes without increasing the IT security threat surface. And on the right here, one of the first companies to really go all in on baselining, Provide, has just come out with their first iteration of a sort of the easy button for baselining and getting things onto like Base Ledger, which is an L2 for managing zero knowledge proofs. And this is now, I think, available, or it's about to be available from the Provide family of stuff. And that's it.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Follow-up question. It seems like the Baseline, the value add grows like a network. So like at the very least, it has a network effect. So as you baseline more systems and have a more complex process, the value add of the protocol increases. Is there a kind of level 0 implementation of the Baseline protocol to point to say that this is a very simple system that has maybe 2 or 3 components that's dramatically improved through baselining?
There's 2 answers to that question. One is that, and I'll just turn off the slideshow now, and I will put up the slideshow. Oh, hey Jack, how's it going? I'll put up the slide deck sharing. It is public. So yeah, sorry, I'm doing 2 things at once here. I wouldn't say that we have achieved the easy button yet. Provide has got a pretty extensive stack. It's for specific, they've got some really great clients, and they're focused on those clients. But it's pretty heavy. From the feedback we got from the hackathon, I think it's fair to say, sorry Jack, that it's kind of like it's a big set of stuff you got to learn. And because of that, there are 2 efforts going on in tandem. One is, I think Provide is working real hard to make that simpler, but also there's a movement afoot to produce the simplest, completely open source public domain stack that you could use to say get your hello world up and running and placing proofs on say Base Ledger, or just generating the proofs. So I don't think those 2 things are over time, we should have lots of different implementations. And so we're working on both of those, Alex.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, the other thing I should say is any competent organization could build a baseline stack for themselves just by reading the standard, the specification, which I'll put the link to up here, baseline standards here, and that is the easiest way to get in. It's a real boring document, but for CIOs and CISOs and such, it's a good document for saying, okay, well, we could use, like the current implementation uses NATS, but they don't want to, somebody, I actually know a project that doesn't want to use NATS. They want to use AMQP, so they can use AMQP. The standard permits it, and it's pretty obvious how you would knit those things together. But you're going to need systems level developers and all that. So companies like Provider are going to pop up and go, hey, you don't want to do all that stuff. That's hard work. We've done it for you. Here you go. Here's the, it's all pre-baked.
Awesome. If y'all want, we can switch gears a little bit, and I'm very new to the organization or the protocol and the community. I'm incredibly curious how Baseline has attracted so many heavy hitters in the space. It seems like all of the massive Ethereum projects, or all of the more well-known massive Ethereum projects, have contributed human resources to Baseline, or at least Baseline's borrowed human resources from those projects. Why is Baseline so special?
Hey, Mark.
I would basically sit there and say that right now a lot of the Baseline community protocol, our protocol community, are veterans of a lot of large scale projects, generally from the blockchain space, and we now know what doesn't work. And I think we are avoiding making the well-meaning mistake of leading with the tech. And we have flipped that and basically said we want to go and try and attract the attention of the business domain. And so kind of the elevator pitch that you would have to the business community would be, with Baseline, you can virtually eliminate your back office reconciliation costs, reduce your cycle times to mere minutes, and maintain consistent record keeping in multi-party and counterparty workflows, all without sacrificing your security profile or data privacy compliance. And you can do this with your existing systems of record and without a significant capital investment. That last sentence resonates. So as far as the adoption, we have gotten the attention of the people that really can move the needle, because they have the money, the authority, and the need.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
like that a lot, Mark. Yeah, listen to Mark. He knows what he's talking about.
I think to layer onto that a little bit, Alex, since the kind of Web3 and crypto craze that we have seen has morphed through the last 5 years, a lot of organizations embarked on efforts around enterprise blockchain, and they didn't get the value that they had sought to get from that. And so a lot of organizations have already kind of started to march down this path, many of which, didn't, again, necessarily like gain the level of success that they had hoped or intended to, but the understanding and the promise behind what Web3 can provide has continued to morph there. And with the introduction of the Baseline protocol, and as Mark alluded to, being able to use your traditional systems of record, you can now layer on and kind of in the way in which we put it, actually extract the type of value from these type of enterprise blockchain initiatives that organizations had always sought to do so. And what they were doing was doing them in these private consortia, many of which, we've seen a lot of challenges with that, getting the level of onboarding, the level of buy-in from these organizations, and leveraging something like the Baseline protocol that's a very standard way of doing it. It allows them just to continue to operate within the existing kind of operations within their business and to add a lot of value from that. And then it brings you into the whole opportunity around Web3, the new type of services and revenues that you can build on top of it, the way in which you can incentivize the ecosystem participants that you're working with in ways in which that you weren't able to do so with like higher yields, for example, on some of the assets. And so that's kind of, just some of the experience that I've seen thus far.
Nicely said, Jack. Thank you. And Jack, can you confirm for us, is that, the panel that, that Kyle was sharing on Slack the other day that I put up on the slide deck, is that available now, or is that still being released?
It is still being released at this point in time. I know that we're very close on it. We were just meeting on it last night. We're very close on it. And to layer a little bit further on that, another idea that we have is having almost like a quick start for the business users, a way in which a business user can plug in a use case and have an opportunity to work through their particular use case from a baselining perspective and work to onboard, to create their organization, create a vault, create a key and sign a transaction, and really kind of just get business users' feet wet in a very easy, seamless way and work to extract a level of value from that initial process. And we feel that that's going to be a really good kind of secondary piece to the actual baseline quick start that's a little bit more focused on the developer enablement. And so we have that working in parallel right now, which we're really excited about.
Outstanding. Hey, Sonal, it's good to see you there. You want to report in on the core devs? Ton of work going on. Oh, by the way, I was just on the project governance board call for Baseline, or for the EEA community projects, and they reported that the voting has been unusually strong. The number of voters registered. Oh, I don't know if you heard, that was my grandfather clock that my wife bought me to keep me on time. I don't know if you heard that. That's great. So now at the end of meetings, or at the bottom of the hour, or the top of the hour, I can go, oh, gotta go. Clock said. I don't know if the mic picked that up or not. But so you did a great job on getting. I think it's largely due to your efforts. We really mobilized and got out the vote, and well over half of those voters have just shy of half have already voted. So there's another reminder going out. Pretty good. That's a pretty good number. Well done. So in addition to that, you've been working on the core devs. So tell us about that.
Yes. So in terms of the TSC elections happening, we're super excited for those elections to wrap up and to get our new TSC members fully into the work that's being done and ultimately have them lead the direction in core dev work. So I can't wait for that to happen. And then the core devs meeting. So we had our kickoff 2 weeks ago, and we had meeting number 1 this week, where we were able to start talking through some working groups and different alignments that the core devs would be interested in helping with, as well as the wide scope of things we could use help on. So we started to propose what the working groups would be like, which was in relation to evaluating the blips, the baseline improvement proposals, bug fixing, working on the roadmap, developing example apps, educational material, as well as having some like career development and personal growth opportunities as well. So now that we are understanding the needs and the interest in everybody, we're starting to further organize and group up. And hopefully our core devs will be first working on blip number 1 that we've had for a couple weeks now, submitted by Maron from SAP. So blip number 1 should be worked on very shortly. And then also the battleship game. We're hoping to have some of our core devs wrap that up, and it'll serve as our hello world. So I would say it's going really well. And if anybody's interested, please join us.
Hey, can I tell you about a crazy idea that we came up with at the All Things Open conference yesterday?
Oh, yeah.
There was a guy, I'm going to even plug him. Let me get his card up. Yeah. Raul Pineda, who's the CTO of leadingbit.com. So Raul, shout out to you. We were just talking in the hall, and I was telling him about the calendar, or the the Battleship game. And then we were talking about calendars, and they're working on an open source community, project for helping communities get manage meetings and stuff like that better. So you and I are very familiar with this problem. And I was saying, gosh, I wish that there was a way to get a whole community onto something like Calendly, which I love using, so that a meeting coordinator could know across many companies, when the best time to schedule a meeting for their team would be. And wouldn't that be nice, right? And it's amazing that 30 years of digital calendaring, we still don't have that. And of course, the problem is the creepy problem. It's even creepy with Calendly, which is you've got to jack your personal or your company's calendar into Calendly, and you don't know how much information they're grabbing from your calendar. That they can say that they're only grabbing, the time blocks and not the details, but I don't know for sure that's true, right? But suddenly it struck us that the problem is exactly the same as the Battleship game. And you could imagine a calendar, a Google Calendar or Outlook being baselined in such way. That's why it's a standard. You need a system that is baseline capable, that would drop, instead of dropping an API the way we do today, it would, under zero knowledge, drop a proof that you could use to say, okay, I want a meeting at this time. And it would be kind of like calling E4, right? Yeah, E4 Battleship, and under zero knowledge, the Battleship game will say, no, you missed, without giving out any more information. Yes, I can prove that you missed, and I'm not telling you anything else, right? Without showing you the board, or without having an online, SaaS referee having all the data, right? It's the same problem. Hey, I want to, I'm calling 10 a.m. on Thursday. You missed, or rather, you hit. I have something 10 a.m. Thursday. I can't do that time, right? Without providing any more information than that, just a big number that allows the proof to run. I thought that was a cool idea. So, I mean, basically, if we can do the Battleship game, then somebody could do the Calendly game too. Free idea, everybody. Go to. Let's see who gets who builds that first. Let us know.
Awesome thought, John. Can I chime in on the core dev? So Sonal, I think you can redirect a lot of the new developers to my show happening on Saturday, because Kyle is going to show up, and we are going to have a hardcore technical lowdown session on blockchain. So on baseline, sorry. So I'm calling it baseline karaoke. Let's just do as we go along.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm calling it baseline karaoke, so that people can just come in and do along as Kyle is demonstrating the provides track. And yeah, I think we did attract a lot of new guys into the community from ETH Atlanta and from the recent Core Devs launch. So yeah, let's do that. Yeah, so it's
Great
happening this
idea.
Saturday, 6 p.m. India time. That'll be 8:30 in the morning, US Eastern. Thank you.
I'll add that to the Core Devs calendar.
I'll be there.
Oh
I'll be
yeah,
there
thank you so much, Mark.
whenever you need
Mark has
me.
been as consistent as me on that show. Thank.
Hey, Mark is up for election of the TSC, by the way. So as is Samrat.
Vote for
Yeah,
Marco.
thank you.
Jack, did you run? I didn't. No, you didn't.
Did not.
Yeah. So
John, actually, while we were in the middle of actually looking at different games to really kind of simulate and kind of generate the awareness of baseline protocol, we're looking at Battleship, the Calendly thing, but we should also look at Go Fish. Which
yeah,
would be
you mentioned that before. Yeah, Go Fish would
multi-part
be a good game.
workflows. I always bring up a healthcare setting, and when it comes to adjudicating a claim, they cannot share it back and forth, so it becomes a game of Go Fish. Do you have any twos? Oh, yep, here we go. Do you have any jacks? Nope, go fish. So and back and forth until you finally sync up, and that's really how it happens within the real world. Is this back and forth to say, okay, what are you missing? This is what I'm missing, and that can take 3 months.
Well, I mean, I don't play a lot of Go Fish, but you're right. It's a good metaphor for it. And I tell you what, I'll bring up, and we'll bring up the NFT project that we're working on. Is that up? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
We're working on this thing called TreeTrunk, which we will kick off the second phase of this week. And I don't want to use this my spot here to plug my own stuff, so I won't do that too much. But TreeTrunk, you are unique, own it. And it's a better way of doing NFTs, we think. But the important thing is, I'll go down to one of the things you can do with this stuff in terms of games, and this is all again under zero knowledge. So I'll bring up just a couple of things. The idea here is, if you can do crypto lithography, where under zero knowledge, you have a picture, a JPEG, and so you have. Here, I'll present. Does that work? Yeah, it does. So I've got a JPEG with some art. I can change the ones and zeros of that art a little bit, add entropy, as it were. We can make a replica of the original, but flip the bits. We can prove that it's a child of the parent, and then we can do that without revealing the parent file or the root file or the original to anyone. And that allows you to be able to sell to somebody else without them worrying that you've copied the bits before selling it. But you can prove that the picture in there looks like the Mona Lisa, and that it was the original used to generate any of the prints. And you can do that you can put the proofs on Base Ledger and put the root file into a personal data vault, etc. And without going too far into this project, you can generate these lineages of signed and numbered prints and sell them for money and create an interesting royalty empire. But this is what I want to get to, which is, what else can you do with these things? In gaming, think of it, if we can think of a game where it's really high stakes, where it's important that not even the game platform, whether it's Blizzard or any of the game platforms you want to, Epic, they shouldn't know what's in your hidden files. Where the small differences in different characters or entities generate big differences in the kind of gameplay, and where winnings can flow up. You could create a unique character and then sell prints of the character and receive a percentage of their winnings, rather than actually handing over your character. You can prove what you have, or you can prove things about you without revealing your data. And you can do that with unique characters and items in families. You can be the great grandchild of the OG vampire. You can surprise yourself and everyone by invoking, say, a well-known spell like Wingardium Leviosa. But when you do it, something floats up 20 feet, and when somebody else does it, it floats up in a zigzag pattern. It's only 10 feet. So those are the kinds of things you can do with coordination under zero knowledge.
Within the gaming function, have we identified if there's a need for verified randomness?
There often is, yes, of course. And especially in high stakes games. So if you're thinking about the Chainlink feature that they just put out, that would be, I should think that would be a good use case.
Talk about being prescient. That was a big win for Chainlink to come up with that verified randomness function, because there are so many games out there that really rely upon that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they go with that.
Yeah.
Hey, Charles, how's it going over there? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm just sitting here thinking, and a lot of the principles that you guys are talking about that are specific to gaming, really triangulate on a lot of the undercurrents that are happening in the modern enterprise, right? A lot of these organizations are shifting to recurring business models because they love the forecastability of those revenue streams. But the leaders in those categories are even moving towards, as we see it, usage-based or adoption-based business models to further drive entanglement in usage with their customers. All of that is predicated on transparency and engagement to actually trust the integrity of these collaborations, usage, and everything. You can't have that transparency without trust. And to be able to use that effectively to incentivize the engagement and continuous adoption. These are really kind of the undercurrents that we're tapping into over at Vocal that we see that are persistent, whether it's on a consumer focused use case like the gaming and the NFTs, but those same principles are eminently valuable to the modern enterprise in building out and establishing their ecosystems moving forward and how they overlap and interoperate with all the tangential ecosystems that they're involved in, whether they realize it or not. I think that really it just emphasizes the precipice that is in front of us, that really can lay the foundation for how people effectively collaborate moving forward, whether it's in a business environment, a consumer environment, or even in a civic environment with government regulators and oversight.
Yeah, right on. I think Baseline really was, I think, designed as audit tech, right? That's why EY was involved. In my view, it's just a really good way of saying, look, baseline your stuff, and we won't give you quite as painful a colonoscopy, right? Mark and I know what
Totally.
that's
But
all
I
about.
think literally if the community rallies together to drive this standard and adoption, what excites me is that as Paul talks about all the time over at E&Y, since you mentioned him, there are trillions of dollars at stake here in global economic growth that we can help drive with new fundamental business models. And it's all by changing that paradigm of how we engage and interact with each other as we're doing it.
So Todd, what are you guys doing over there on this stuff?
Well, we're working on some really interesting projects as it relates to some of the non-common use cases or industries that a lot of the DeFi movement has focused on. Like we're working with manufacturers to lock down access to the information and collaboration on their factory floor and their operating technology. Working with some automotive manufacturers to change the paradigm for access to these connected systems on the connected vehicles and all the different parties that are involved in keeping things operational and secure, but still being aware of the environment and the surroundings so everybody can make better decisions. Mark, you were talking about healthcare. Healthcare is ripe for transformation across this category, just by being able to look at the healthcare networks and their inability to reference appropriate information in a confidential manner that requires multiple parties to be able to share it. Everybody's focusing on robotic surgeries and things like that driving the future and transformation for healthcare. I fundamentally think if we can get everybody on the same page, so even I as a patient know exactly who's got access to my medical records and my digital biomarkers, and I trust in the integrity of only the parties that have that are with my rights of permission. That's transformational on its own, especially when you're looking at just the doctors and the insurance providers, the carriers. This is the foundation of the future, in my opinion.
In fact, it's funny you should mention the healthcare item in particular. There's a company called Chronicled. It's been out for a while, doing roughly the same pattern as baselining. They just did it in a proprietary way before the baseline standard was really out there. And they've been, it's hard to tell exactly what they do and how they do it because it's all in kind of, boxed up inside their operation. But it, effectively they have a private common frame of reference machine that boxes up, I think, proofs and does that so that, in fact, HIPAA is not being violated and data is being, you have coordination of these different medical operators, including pharmaceuticals, along their supply chain and also along delivery issues. They have a bunch of stuff. I think it's called Meta Ledger. Mm-hmm. And I would call that a baseline pattern, even though they aren't what you would call, they're not participating in baselining, as far as I know. But the pattern is the pattern, and people are kind of getting it. They certainly aren't. These guys are not dumb enough to put patient data on a big giant database.
Well, let's be real about it. I mean, there's startups out there and even established companies that are making a considerable amount of business of de-identifying patient data at the source. How are they doing it? It's manual work to de-identify that data, so it's not real time. They've got bodies of people scrubbing this, putting it into a database, and saying it's safe.
Yeah, best not to ever put it into a honeypot before de-identifying. De-identifying just makes my skin crawl because the ease of making a mistake and letting out personal information is so easy.
Totally. But I think where the real magic resides, John, is if we can capture the magic around not just the business benefit and the value that the standard can provide, but marry that with the incentive mechanisms that are out there to drive the participation so people can actually look at this, whether you're a consumer of an enterprise, somebody in the public sector, look at this and say, wow, it does work, and we can get people to use this because it's kind of self-fulfilling. The more it's used, the more secure and reliable it is.
Absolutely. Any more on that, Charles? Or shall we move on?
Oh, I could talk for hours on this, John, but don't want to monopolize the clock.
Not at all. It's kind of a light week. I mentioned that on Twitter. I was like, this is going to be a light week. There's a lot of people doing work, and when they're doing work, they don't have time to jump on and talk about the work. So sometimes we have that kind of a factor, but we still do this every week. So I'm really grateful that everybody's on. Alex, do you have any other questions before I wrap us up?
No, I would just say keep up the great work, gang. Let's spread the word, build the community. I'm super excited that me and our team are a part of it, and look forward to really leaning in and driving a lot of really fun stuff to happen with Baseline. Awesome.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll put one last thing up, and then we'll call it a day. We have, if you don't already know, we have a couple of things here. By the way, Alex, you had asked about how to explain baselining. I hope you've shown them the little bit film. Have you done that?
Yes, absolutely. That's the first thing.
Did they get it?
They start to, but I think the issue comes connecting that to the business, or connecting that to their business and beyond just like a single bit of information.
So we need some more films about that. Sounds like. Good thing that we're producing more of them. The Adventures of Little Bit, everyone, coming soon to a theater near you. Post-COVID, we'll actually go to the theaters, hopefully. So I just want to point out to anybody that wants to be a core dev, if you go to the Baseline Protocol website, we have our sign-up thing here. We've got the standards team, Baseline outreach team, and the core devs. Sonal and team set these up very nicely. You can also go to the active community link. But if you go right into Baseline Core Devs, you can add yourself to this list, and that will get you into the meetings. You don't have to be a full core dev on day one. If you're interested in being part of the team, you want to start joining the meetings. And as you join the meetings and you get involved and you do stuff, you can then be voted in by the other members as a maintainer, as somebody that can approve the merging of code into the main branch of the repo. So I just wanted to bring that up and show y'all how to do that. It's easy peasy. Sonia, you have any final thoughts on things that people need to know in the next coming weeks?
I was just going to add on the core dev sign up note. There's also the sign up for the outreach team, also known as go to market team. And we had a lot of traction in the last meeting. So please also sign up for that group where we hear updates from different sponsors, companies, and people involved that are working on driving the adoption and understanding about baseline for companies. So please get involved, and we're going to form some working groups in there as well within different industries and what people's interests are, and make sure we start creating material for all of us to be able to explain and pass along to businesses how to actually get baselined.
Right on. Thanks, Sonal. It's great to see everybody. If that's all, then we'll wrap it up for yet another week of uninterrupted baseline shows. Thanks everybody for being here. We'll see you on Saturday with Samrat at 8:30 a.m. Unfortunately, I'm taking somebody to gymnastics class around that time, so I don't get to be on that show. But Samrat's got you in good hands. I think he's giving me a run for my money. In fact, so good on you. Who do you have on the show this week?
So this week we have Kyle.
What, you got Kyle? I didn't get Kyle.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have
So
to
he's
fight
doing
you
a
now.
he's doing a technical lowdown for us. I'm going to be using this video, as for future reference also.
Nobody
When
gets
new
Kyle
people join
anymore.
it.
He's too famous and important and busy. I can't
Yeah,
believe that.
looks like.
You're getting
Oh,
them
I
up at
had to wake up
8:30
in
in
the
the
night.
morning. Well, or 8 o'clock in the morning. No, is it 8:30? No, 8:30 in the morning. Yeah.
8:30.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, with that, we'll leave you. Everybody sign up for that show. It should be easy to find the link. And with that, we'll take you out our favorite music from. By the way, this music is from a group called Don't Blink, and it is the Baseline Revolution song. So see everybody next week.
Baseline.